Aloha everyone, Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. The extremely sloppy uptrend continues. The NASDAQ hitting new highs following today's session. It will be gapping down following the Facebook earnings. But once again, new highs, below average and lower volume. Guys, I'm going with price here. I never fight price. I'm okay with price. But I just refuse to embrace this market as long as we trade like this. It's just very disturbing. It's how you end up with pullbacks like this when you rally like that. So I'm going with it, but whatever. It is what it is. I can't embrace it. So with that being said, we'll just keep looking at the index ETFs. At least the QQQ had volume above average, but like I said, that will be gapping down. NASDAQ 100 had lower volume. The SPY had above average volume, so that's at least good to see. S&P 500, though, however, more highs, more below average volume. I don't know how to spin this as awesome. It's just good. That's all it is, good. Dow Jones Industrial Average, Diamond, the DIA, in confirmation, and then the IWM following a heavy crack in what appears to be a potential triple top. Nice bounce today, but look at how much the Russell 2000. This is supposed to be our leader, and instead, the last two sessions, it's been the laggard while the big caps take over. So, no surprise about the only, the best news that I can pull from today's session is that the New York Stock Exchange advanced decline line is trying to curl higher, but as you can see, the S&P 500 continues to hit new highs, while the NYSE advanced decline line does not. And the crowd is just complacent. And I can't believe that it's so complacent on the backs of all this tariff nonsense. What year are we living in? Is it the year 2018? Because it sure feels like we're working with economic policies from the 1800s. So I hope this nonsense is over, because this nonsense then leads to the next issue, noise. And I tell you what, you can see here once again, our limit orders filled. It was a good day for those, even though NSU pulled back in the close and so did the SOXS. But at one point today, they were all rocking. But as you can see, another, plethora of intraday stops. And look at Tizu, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can't remember the last time I've seen that. All 7 stops I had on Tizu heading into Versov. That very first stop was a profit stop. That was on half of my position. And then these stops, I believe, allowed me to leave with small, tiny losses, small losses. And then these were emergency stops that were never supposed to come into play. They came into play, so smaller to medium-sized losses, but half of the position was right here for profit. So overall, Tizu didn't hurt too bad. But you can see all these stops. Noisy, 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 noisy. And then that leads to end-of-day sell signals. Tizu fail, Surf fail, AMTX fail, CLXT fail, B of I fail, GVA fail, MYRG. If you're long any of those, you have to move your final stops to 1 cent below those lows. And then the 50 percenters, ENPH, AMOT, SDOW, MICT, KPTI, SDT, and ESQ. That's quite a few sell signals for an up day, probably because the rut lagged, but more, it's just noisy. It's just noisy. It's summer. It's earnings season. This is what earnings season does. It gets noisy. It gives me a lot of sell signals, a lot of buy signals. Whenever you have a market like this that V moves into new highs on no volume, then sells off on heavy distribution, but never goes down more than 10%, never clearing the decks for fresh new long positions with the best chart patterns. So you end up with a ton, on my end, of small positions, piddly diddly diddly nonsense. So you're making interactive brokers happy, at least with your commissions, but it's just a lot of work for not the kind of gains that I would like to see. Hopefully that can change here, but as long as this market wants to keep hitting new highs on no volume, below average volume, we are suspect to nasty sharp pullbacks, reversals that look like the market's completely topping before we then do move higher again. So caveat emptor still. Buyer beware. Careful, careful, careful. 4 new long positions, 3 add signals. The largest position sizes in 2 of those long positions is 1%. There was 0 confirmation in my top long signals in any side scan. So 4 new long positions, the largest being 1%. MMI, TLRY. Those are your 2 1% positions today, confirmed in no scans. TLRY is from my IPO scan. Limit order 2715. First cut loss level 2349. Final cut loss level 2009. MMI from my Can Slim scan. Almost was a new long position. BOP hasn't surged even remotely close to the old green levels, but there's one thing that saved this chart. It's a pocket pivot point signal. Love the price, volume, and BOP overall in the day, but there's no red BOP in a Zoom 4 chart. No red BOP in a Zoom 4 chart. That's why MMI definitely made it to the end as a new long position. Limit order 4066. First cut loss level, this low right here, 39.58, splitting hairs with this low. You can use whatever you want. Final cut loss level on my end, 38.32, splitting hairs with this low right here. You can use whatever low you want. The last 2 new long positions, ZGNX, comes from my perfect speculator scan. It was confirmed in my max green BOP for the past 5 days scan. Zoom 3 is very, very, very nice. I want to get rid of those arrows. Let's get rid of those. ZGNX. So ZGNX, limit order since it's extended from the 20-day moving average. That's why it's only 0.75% of my account capital instead of 1.5%. Limit order 58.30. First cut loss 55.95. Final cut loss 52.85 on ZGNX. Nice Zoom 3 chart. Then the final new long position, SCWX from my perfect speculator scan. Limit order since it's extended from its 20-day moving average 1390. Also made my max green BOP for 5-day scan, but because of its extension, 0.75% of my account capital, just like ZGNX. 1390. First cut loss level 1316. Final cut loss level 1267. I may play around with these lows here, but I just want anyone that's new or thinking about taking this trade to pay attention just to those 2 stop levels only. Then I actually had 3 add signals, all from quality names. STKS from my perfect speculator scan, CIRC from my perfect speculator scan, and OPRX from my perfect speculator scan. CIRC is bouncing off its 50-day moving average, limit order 465, first cut loss 424, second cut loss 4, final cut loss 389. Only was in my PS scan. It's an add signal, so only 0.5% of my account capital. Then OPRX, I know it's not closing near the high of the day, but very pretty. Zoom 4 chart, very nice uptrend, has been coiling. It's a flat base now at nearing the 50-day moving average. Heavier volume surge, BOP surge. When I came across this stock in my perfect speculator scan, I stopped on it before, like, I run through the charts, and then all of a sudden if one catches my eye, stopped on it. Then when I was going through my tertiary scan, I forgot that this stock was even going to make the tertiary scan. As in, I'm flying through the tertiary scan. When I saw this chart, it made me, I moved like another 3-4 charts ahead. It made me backtrack to it. So that's an automatic new long position, closing at the high of the day or not. OPRX 0.5% of my account capital, 1074. First cut loss level, this low right here, 1011. Final cut loss level on the add signal, 965. And from my very first position, I'm still working with those 2 lows right here as final stops on OPRX. And then STKS, Zoom 3 looks better, shows you the longer term uptrend, the previous 100% move. Found nice support at 200, broke above the 50, has consolidated the 50 with max green BOP on quiet volume. Nice hammer candle today, was in my perfect speculator scan and max green BOP scan. So since it's an add signal, this is actually 0.75% of my account capital. Limit order 257, first cut loss 2 243, because that is lower. Yep, 243. Second cut loss, 236. Final cut loss, 223. All right, everybody, this has been a noisy, weird market this entire week, Monday through Wednesday, all 3 days. Very noisy. Not quite sure what to make of everything. I am keeping a very open mind here. I could see us continuing to move into new highs, but with the Russell 2000 lagging, it makes me wonder how that's going to happen. More than likely, I could see us selling off and then deciding to move higher. But when I watch what the SPY and the QQQ is doing, it's kind of hard to fight that. But when the IWM is lagging like it is, it just makes things very confusing right now. So going with price. Almost will be back to fully invested with those new long signals. We'll see how the rest of the week plays out. Wild cards everywhere, especially during the seasonally bearish time of August and September, right in the smack dab middle of earnings season. Fun times right now during the summer. All right, everyone. See you in the chat room on Thursday. Aloha.